Hey you are listening to the Latter-day Ladypreneur podcast. This is Sarah Allred, your host. Dive into a sweet mix of interviews with business gurus, as well as solo episodes with me about the business lessons that have transformed me along this journey, with some sweet connections to Nephi, Esther, and all your other scriptural heroes thrown in the mix. Look, over a year ago, I was paralyzed. Business profits were almost non-existent, and it seemed pointless to keep spending hours on this business of mine when I could have made more at McDonald's. The most painful part, as I felt the hustle of it all, was taking my focus away from those I love most, in my home. So why the paralysis? Why couldn't I just walk away? Look, I knew deep down in my soul that God had called me to do this, to grow a business, to uncover a way to inspire others to do the same. So how could both exist? A thriving business and a thriving home? That's when I met a mentor that opened my eyes to a whole new way of doing business. A system that has brought more money, more time, and more impact into my life in the past 6 months than I've ever had in nearly 10 years of business. This fancy system is called funnels, and I want you on board with me. If your time is feeling crunched, your ideas of how to help more people are slim, or you simply need to stop reinventing your business every single day, you need this fancy and profitable approach to business called funnels. I've packed everything I've learned in the past year that has brought me connections, profitability, a loyal following, but more importantly, the feeling at home I have ached for a decade into my life. You can do it too. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Build your business through the world of funnels in just 45 days with the Funnel Blueprint Challenge at sarahgracelive.com/challenge. Bonus, for a limited time, your seat in the challenge includes a free buddy pass because everyone needs a business buddy. Keep moving forward. Your heavenly parents need you and your gifts, and so does the world. Now, enjoy the podcast. Hey you, it is Sarah with Sarah Grace Live. So glad you're back here on the Latter-day Ladypreneur podcast. Thrilled to be with you as we talk all about my puzzle obsession as we have been in quarantine. Has anybody else been dying to do millions of puzzles? My neighborhood has even been doing a puzzle swap, and it has been the greatest thing ever for my kids and I. I'm a huge puzzler, but I feel like I haven't done them in like a decade. So it's been so exciting. And of course, as I'm sitting here doing a puzzle, I had to think about what this had to do with business, right? Here is what I found, okay? I grew up in a family that loved to travel. Bless my wonderful late father, Dean, who loved to travel. They saved their pennies every single moment that they could so they could take us around the world. And my sweet mom was the most wonderful, brilliant, patient mother to travel with. And I actually spent a good amount of time in Europe as a little teeny baby, like 2 and 3 years old. Pretty incredible. But part of that meant that we came home with these incredible books about the incredible chapels that we saw and the incredible cemeteries and castles and these incredible places we were able to visit. But one thing really caught my eye during quarantine. I had an incredible neighbor that dropped off a 1,000-piece puzzle to my door, and she said, Sarah, you should give this a try. This is the most impossible puzzle ever. It cannot be finished. So immediately, what do? I'm gonna finish that puzzle. That's what I'm gonna do. So of course, I pull out this puzzle and I dump it out and I realize it is Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. Yikes! Oh my word. Now you would think that with something with such incredible artwork and a lot of detail that it would be pretty easy to put together. But no, I was surrounded by all sorts of limbs and body parts, and everything was green and everything was a pale yellow, and everybody had wings in it with all the angel babies, all that kind of stuff. And it was an absolute mess. I am convinced that I lost 10 years off of my life from completing that puzzle. But something happened to me, especially as I got through to the end of the puzzle. Yes, indeed, we did finish it. Sweet Greg came in at the last minute and saved my sanity and helped me finish that puzzle. But as I was on like that last 20 to 25% of that puzzle, I started to really see the genius of Michelangelo, the absolute genius of his artistry. I started to see more carefully the expressions on the faces of every single little cherub that he did and man that he did. And he did Adam, touching God's finger, all those little details about the expressions that were happening during these incredible events. I started to see the incredible interactions that he had created between people who were scared or afraid or in love or father to son. So many different feelings came through me as I studied this 1,000-piece puzzle of Michelangelo. Now, don't get me wrong. I had grown up surrounded by the artwork of Michelangelo and the great masters my entire life. We had huge, big, colorful books straight from the museums where their artwork had been hung. And I had gone through those on Sundays and pored over their incredible artwork. But it wasn't until I was trying to create my own puzzle of his incredible Sistine Chapel, piece by piece by piece by piece, that I understood the sheer brilliance of Michelangelo. And as I think about his life story, I can't help but wonder what made him so good. What made him so good? And a conversation with a dear friend of mine sparked in my mind. It was a time when we both felt like our businesses were barely making ends meet. We were barely profitable. And this was years and years ago. And I remember her saying, she said, "Sarah, I just think I need to hang around people who are succeeding at a higher level than I am. I feel like I am surrounded by struggling entrepreneurs all the time, that I can't catch my breath, and I'm not learning from anyone who is further ahead of the game than me." And I took a step back, and I was part of masterminds and group masterminds and all this kind of stuff, and I thought, you are right. I am surrounding myself with people who are in the grind and struggle of entrepreneurship. It's real, right? It's real. But what would that be like if, as you were a beginning entrepreneur, or Michelangelo as a beginner painter? What advice would you give him if he was trying to get better at art? Would you suggest that he share his easel with those who are also trying to just figure it out on the cuff? Or would you recommend that he finds a master himself? That is the goal. Now, in the world of entrepreneurship, finding a mentor or a guide is not an unknown idea. But the question is, how do I know who to choose, and what if I can't afford to do it? One-on-one mentoring is a massive financial investment with those who are bigwigs in the game. It is a big, big deal. I pay my coach this year, when I started working with her at this level, I pay her more per year than I made the previous year. What? What does that mean? What does that mean? And why would I ever take such a massive risk for working with a master? What does that mean? And have I always worked at this level with a coach? Absolutely not. But here is a framework for you to decide how you choose a coach, and depending on your financial level, how you can still get an incredible experience with one if money is tight. Okay? I want you to ask yourself 2 questions when considering who your coach should be. Because often we want our coach to be a lot like us. We want to resonate with them and connect with them. But man, we also want them to be different, because we want them to bring something different to the table, right? So how do we find that balance? How do I want them to be the same? How do I want them to be different? Okay? Here is my little formula for choosing a coach. Choose a coach who lives the same values that you live. Meaning, their day-to-day life is a life that you admire and that you want to emulate. Their interactions with their family, their workload, their goals in business, what kind of values are running their life? And I'll explain why in just a minute. That's the first thing, okay? Can I find a coach that lives and breathes the same values as I do? Okay, that's the most important question that you can ask. And the reason I say this is because, does that mean all of my mentors are going to be members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But at this stage in the game, it was really important to me that my mentor was a woman, and a woman that had a family and that was making huge strides in business. And that's part of why I chose my coach the way I did, because she's a mother and she is making huge, massive strides in business that I want to emulate. And here is why this is so important. And it's because of the second thing that you should tackle when looking for a mentor. The second thing is, Are they getting results that I desire and that are different from my current results? Okay. Don't let that be a question that you forget. If you are wanting to play on a massive field, find a coach that is playing that massive business game. Okay. And with these two statements in mind, I have found a coach that has the same values that I live and desire to live, and they are producing results that I want to produce and are doing it in a way that I know is in line with their values. Those answers matter. And here is why. If you are on a goal to make 7 figures, $1 million, man, I could take you there. If you don't care, if you lie and cheat and steal and never see your family, you and I, let's go. Let's make this happen. Do you see why these questions matter? Because if you want to hit those 7 figures, or if you want to hit those 6 figures or 5 figures, wherever you are in business, you want to be paired with someone who has done it while keeping their values intact. Money can always be made. Followers can always be bought. Opportunities can always be manufactured. But if you want to create incredible results that you're seeing in other businesses, find someone who got there while living and maintaining the values that you and I hold dear. Isn't that super cool? Isn't that super cool? I love this idea so very much. And I want you to think deeply. You think, well, yeah, Sarah, I found someone. I want to work with this person because I know what she has accomplished and I know how she's treated her family through the process. And I want to be and emulate the things that she is accomplishing right now. That's who I want to be paired with. And then you realize, oh my gosh. Number one, either she doesn't mentor or she does mentor and it's just not in your budget right now. So what does that mean? Because isn't the old age phrase of business that says everybody needs a coach? I believe in it. I absolutely believe in it. So does that mean you should go find a coach and you should put it all on your credit card? Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. I don't know. That's for you to decide. But what it means is you need to find a coach and you need to dive in now. Some of the most effective coaches out there are going to be those that have a variety of ways in which you can work with them. Yeah, if you're ready for the one-on-one, the top dollar experience, dive in, put it on the credit card. If that's what feels right, go for it. But you will often find that there are other ways to still learn the piece by piece mastery of those coaches at a much more swallowable price point for your stage in the game. For example, if you find an incredible coach that is just amazing at MLM marketing and you're like, oh my gosh, I have got to figure out their secret to getting these incredible leads and their downline, all this kind of stuff, I want to know. Instead of hiring them one-on-one, invest in their programs, invest in their podcasts, invest in their book, learn their frameworks, learn how they got where they are. You'll also be able to learn how they were able to uphold those values through the process. And it might find that you are going to find the best coach ever through that process. Okay, start with a book, start with a podcast, start with their classes, start with their launch systems, whatever it looks like, invest in that first. I believe so strongly in this, okay? I just barely shut down all the enrollment for my mentoring for the year 2020, and I am thrilled with the people that I am so honored to be able to work with for the next year. But here's the thing. Here's something that I learned. It was so hard to sit on the phone with some people and say, you know what? 2020 is not going to be the best fit for you and I to work together. And do you know why? And they'd say, why? We're on this phone call together. I want to do this. And I would say, it's because there are so many other things that you can dive into over the next year that when we talk again in 2021, you're going to be so much more better prepared to work with a coach one-on-one so that I'm not teaching you business basics at $1,000 a month, right? You'd be super mad at me if I did that to you, right? If you and I started working together and I was charging you $1,000 a month to sit there and tell you how to set up an email and tell you how to write an email and do some of those basic things that I teach in a lot of my online courses, you would be mad at me if you found that out, right? So dive into the tiers of coaching that you can with the coaches that you know are keeping the values that you hold dear and who are producing results that are different than the ones you are currently producing. That's the most important step that you can take forward in your coaching today. If you want to know where a good place to start is with an actual coach, like you have no idea, you're like, I sell baby shampoo and I have no idea who I would even begin to learn from. I want you to DM me on Instagram. find me and say, Sarah, here is what I do. I need a coach. I don't care if it's in book form or in course form or in podcast form. Where would you start with this specific product? I would love to share who I think to be some of the best coaches in the business in each of those areas, and we can get you on track. Okay? So remember the incredible world of Michelangelo. And remember, if you saw him as a young boy, you saw ideas and potential and a spark of excitement, how would you encourage him to get better? You would encourage him to surround himself with the masters, immerse himself in the masters, so that one day he can build, quite literally, and paint the Sistine Chapel. And then we can be in amazement at all those incredible things and expressions and interactions in which he was able to produce because of his investment in himself by surrounding himself with the masters. You can do this. There are incredible people out there that are able to help you through books and podcasts and Instagram accounts and courses that are ready to help your business take off. Ask yourself those two questions. If they're holding the values that you hold dear, and if they are producing results that you want, but that you are not yet achieving, you are going to be good as gold. If you need a first step forward, DM me on Instagram and I'll be super excited to make that happen. If you are at the beginning stages of your business and you are super short on time and you feel like, girl, I only have like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day and I need to make this business work, I've got a massive opportunity coming in August of 2020 to do a group coaching experience unlike anything I've seen in the business world yet. Super excited to be part of that. If you want to be on the wait list for that, I am limiting the enrollment for the 2020 class. So if you can go to sarahgracelive.com/waitlist, you can be the first one to jump on board. Find a mentor, make those results happen, and create your incredible Sistine Chapel in the ways of Michelangelo. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast, and we'll see you soon. If you enjoyed this podcast, I know you would enjoy my course, the Funnel Blueprint Challenge. What in the world do funnels have to do with you thinking bigger as a woman of faith, business, and motherhood? Well, my friend, everything. Funnels are just a fancy word for a brilliant business plan that grants you more money, more free time, and more impact without sacrificing your role as a woman of faith and family. My favorite part about funnels? Well, building a plan that is serving every single customer. Customers who have $0 to spend and those who are ready to invest thousands in you. The Funnel Blueprint Challenge, available at sarahgracelive.com/challenge, is filled with 45 days of step-by-step guidance on starting, growing, and expanding your business right. This is the exact blueprint I use to build funnels for high-end clients. No more shoot from the hip strategies with your marketing idea of the week. Get your funnel built with me in 45 days in the Funnel Blueprint Challenge so that you can share your awesomeness with the world. Let me be awesome at teaching you funnels so that you can be awesome at what you do. Head to sarahgracelive.com/challenge to register. Thanks for listening to the podcast.